Hello and welcome to Love from the Other Side. If you are on this video, perhaps you too are in need of hope. We bring you stories from around the world of people who have shared their near-death experiences. While you may not agree with everything they share, we ask that all comments be kept respectful and kind. Today's experience comes to us from Doug, who toured with the country music legend Merle Haggard. What he described as an entirely pleasant experience happened in May of 2012 as a result of a direct head injury. Let's get started with his story. I had been on a long music tour with country music artist Merle Haggard. We had traveled all the way up to the western corner of Canada from California and then returned to California. Most of the trip I had spent in the bus bunk with my laptop computer being my connection to the outside world. We traveled for days, probably 4 or 5. When we finally got back to California, I got in my little car and headed home for about 40 minutes, north on Interstate 5. I hadn't yet noticed that I had become badly dehydrated during the long trip. I drove to my house in the mountains with little trouble, but it was morning and I was restless. My brother called me from the local casino and wanted me to come down and play some slots with him. Although I felt lightheaded, I was still wanting to do something to break my feeling of restlessness from the long bus tour. I got in my car and headed back to town. I arrived at the casino to find my brother and a friend playing slots at the bar. I ordered an orange juice since I was remarkably thirsty and it was too early for a beer. I sat on the bar stool for about 10 minutes playing Keno with my brother when I began to feel extremely lightheaded. I could tell I was going to pass out. So out of reflex, I tried to stand up to try and regain control of myself. Then everything went dark. My brother says he saw me stand straight up, then become stiff like a board and fall directly back onto the concrete floor. He also said that blood started to pool at the back of my head near the impact, although I don't remember any of that. Suddenly, I was in an ethereal space floating outside of my body. I remember being hyper aware of everything around me, and I could see my body on the floor with my brother and our friend shaking me and yelling at me to wake up. The first thought I had was, man, I'm glad that's over with. I also remember being amazed that my sense of humor was still intact and that I was still me in this other place. I remember feeling so good and so light with no cares at all. I felt like I was finally going home and immediately was experiencing a presence through my being that I was communicating with instantly. It said to me first, "Don't worry, we've got you." Every thought I had was instantly answered as soon as I thought it. Time seemed to be irrelevant, and I didn't care because I was enveloped in a blanket of what could only be described as pure love and acceptance. I knew instantly everything was going to be okay, and I was welcome here, wherever here was. Then I felt my focus going out into the heavens into a warm, dark space with light all around. I knew I was connected to everything instantly, and I knew I wanted to stay here. I can't overstate how much it felt like I had already been there before, and that it felt overwhelmingly like home. Then I had the thought that I never wanted to leave this place. I wanted to continue further. As soon as I had that thought, came the knowing that I had to return to my body because there was more I had to learn on earth. I felt slightly disappointed at this thought, but my bravery kicked in and I felt my focus returning to my life on earth. It was then that I had several flashes from the past interactions I had with others on earth. I could feel and sense the emotions of everyone involved in the exchange, like they were my own thoughts and emotions. I then understood the way that every little action we take in our lives echoes in this place forever, and that we are all connected to each other and to God. I cannot say if I was communicating with God or something else, but I could feel the presence of what I can only describe as God from the moment I transmuted into this form and space. I felt a tug back towards my body, and I felt myself going through a dark tunnel that ended with my eyes opening slowly and hearing my brother and our friend yelling my name. The paramedics had shown up by then, and I was carried out on a gurney to the ambulance. I tried to communicate what I had just experienced, but I was unable to at the time. The paramedic told me I was in shock, which slowly subsided. I spent the night in the hospital and even received a visit from my employer, Merle Haggard, that night in the hospital, which was a wonderful thing. I haven't talked about my experience much until I began seeing NDE videos on YouTube with other people describing their experiences. It wasn't until then that I realized what had actually happened to me. Since the episode, I am no longer afraid of death because I know in my core that we continue to be ourselves after we leave this body. It changed my thinking on the subject profoundly. I am very grateful that I was able to get a glimpse of the other side. Since then, I have lost quite a few friends and family who were close to me, and I know without a shadow of a doubt that I will see them again, and that they are experiencing the same love and eternal playground that I got to visit on that fateful day. Sincerely, Doug. Well, friends, that is our experience for today. And if you would like to read this experience yourself, I will put a link in the About section of the video. There is also a brief question and answer section following his experience. As always, thank you for choosing to spend your time with us today. And if you enjoy this type of content, I would like to invite you to be the newest subscriber to Love from the Other Side. Until next time, God bless.